This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
Hello and welcome. You are watching In Your Interest here on News 9. I'm Krishna Kumar, and tonight we're talking about something that affects all of us, you, me and everybody else watching it, and that is the Indian rupee and its continuous downward spiral. Your wallet, your savings, your dreams of sending your child abroad for an education, that vacation you've been planning, even the petrol you fill in your car tomorrow morning. The Indian rupee has crashed to a historic low for the first time ever. The rupee has closed at 91 rupees and 3 paise against the dollar. During the day, it touched 91 rupees and 27 paise. Think about what this means. Just 12 months ago, $1 cost you around 84 rupees. Today, it costs you 91. That's a fall of over 7% in just 1 year. And in 2025 alone, the rupee has already fallen by 5%. The rupee is now among the worst performing currencies in Asia. It's one of the weakest emerging market currencies in the world right now. Foreign investors have pulled out $17 billion from the Indian stock markets this year alone. That's over 1.4 lakh crore rupees leaving our stock markets. Capital is flowing out. The external sector is under stress. Let's understand what exactly is driving this rupee roulette. Is it policy or is it pressure? The answer is both. First, foreign institutional investors are running away. Money that came into India looking for returns is now leaving. When foreign money exits, demand for dollars goes up and the rupee falls. Second, the uncertainty around the US-India trade deal is creating nervousness. When trade prospects look unclear, investors get worried. Third, our trade deficit is widening. We're buying more from the world than we're selling to it. That means more dollars going out than coming in. And fourth, look at gold imports. They jumped nearly 200% in the month of October this year. Gold is imported using US dollars. The more gold we buy, the more dollars we need, and the weaker the rupee becomes as a consequence. And fifth, the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has chosen to let the rupee fall as it's prioritizing keeping our foreign exchange reserves intact. And finally, there is the global dollar rally. The dollar is strong worldwide, but experts say that the rupee's fall is less about global factors and more about India's specific pressures. This weakness affects many people across the board in different ways. For travelers, foreign trips now cost 5 to 6% more this year. A $1,000 vacation that used to be around 83,000 rupees is now close to 91,000 rupees. Prices for fuel and electronics have gone up 10 to 15%. And outbound travel or travel overseas by Indians could drop by 10 to 20%. Students planning to study abroad are also hit hard. About 1.3 million Indian students are affected, with costs for studying in the US rising from around 65 lakhs to 70 lakh rupees. Education loan repayments could increase by 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per month, putting extra strain on middle-income families. Importers and businesses face higher costs too, up about 6% this year. Oil, machinery and gold are driving the current account deficit higher. Prices in sectors like auto and electronics have risen 3 to 5%, and small businesses are feeling the pinch the most. For those migrating abroad, relocation costs have gone up 5 to 6%. A move that cost 8.5 lakh rupees now needs about 9.1 lakh rupees. Upfront expenses might delay plans for some, though remittances from NRIs benefit as they get more rupees per dollar sent home. So it's not all bad news. There are a few winners in this rupee slide. The IT and IT-enabled services sectors are benefiting. These companies earn in dollars and spend in rupees. A weaker rupee means their dollar revenues convert into more rupees, lifting their profit margins. Remittances get a value boost as NRIs earning abroad are getting more value for their remittances. Inbound tourism, as in tourism coming into India, could get a boost because India becomes cheaper for foreign tourists, cheaper than already it is. And local manufacturers competing with imports suddenly have an advantage. Made in India products become more competitive when imports get costlier. Now, looking at broader economic implications, a weaker rupee makes exports and tourism 5 to 6% cheaper as an inbound tourism, which could help shrink the trade deficit of India by $20 to $30 billion and add 0.5 to 1% to the GDP growth. It also boosts the rupee value of remittances and foreign direct investment, or FDI, while making agriculture and export-linked jobs more competitive. However, there are pressure points. The oil import bill could rise by 50,000 crore rupees. Inflation risks go up by 1 to 2%. Fuel and commuting costs may increase. External debt servicing becomes costlier, and FII, or foreign institutional investor outflows, bring more volatility to India's stock markets. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that the rupee is resilient and global headwinds, and the focus should be on exports and reserves. On the political side, though, Priyanka Gandhi has asked what was said when the dollar was high during the Manmohan Singh government. Mallikarjun Kharge pointed to the fall from 58 rupees in 11 years as economic mismanagement. TMC's Derek O'Brien called it a middle-class tax. And Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav said it hits farmers and exporters long-term, turning dollar dreams into a nightmare. So the big questions that we are asking tonight: can India reverse this trend, or will the rupee go even lower? Will the consumers like us pay the real price for this fall? Is the opposition overstating economic mismanagement, or is the government understating how bad things really are? We have Subhash Goyal, Chairman, Travel and Tourism Committee, Indian Chamber of Commerce, joining us. We have Nikhil Jain, political analyst, with us. We also have Savio Rodriguez, founder and editor-in-chief, Goa Chronicle, and Mitali Nikore, founder and chief economist of Nikore Associates, with us. Thank you, all of you, for taking time out to be with us. I'm going to begin by asking Mitali Nikore, the simple, straightforward question before we get into the details of how this fall in rupee is going to affect different sets of people, is that in general, the understanding is that when the currency becomes weaker, this is not good for the economy. But the other side of the argument is that you can't just look at the rupee and talk about the economy, because the other fundamentals remain strong.
Absolutely, Krishna. First of all, thank you for having me in the conversation. What I want to point out from an economics lens is that there are certain benefits to the economy when the rupee slides, right? Our exports become cheaper. our exports and services become cheaper. Exports and services constitute nearly 10% of our GDP at this point in time, and they constitute a large part of our GDP growth as well.
Okay.
IT exports become cheaper. IT exports have the room to innovate because of this becoming cheaper. It also becomes, I'm sure we have a lot of tourism and hospitality people on the panel, and they'll also talk about this, that it becomes cheaper for somebody from abroad to come to India, buy a hospitality experience or a service. So there are benefits. The main cost to the Indian economy when the rupee becomes weak is our fuel cost. Our
Okay.
cost of importing fuel becomes very high, and that's the main drag on our economic debt.
Okay.
And that is where we have to make changes. We have to change our energy mix if this is the kind of scenario that we're facing.
So you're saying it's not all bad news. There are certain, advantages to it. I'm going to take this across to Nikhil Jain and Savir Rodriguez. Nikhil, that is the lesson that one needs to take, because, it's not enough if you just, cry wolf over where the Indian rupee is. It has certain very significant advantages as far as the Indian economy is concerned.
Krishna, if indeed the falling rupee has such advantages, I don't really know why was the BJP clamoring so much during the UPA government when the rupee was falling amidst a global financial crisis, amidst an increasing crude oil price crisis. Now you will have people from the BJP and those who support the BJP telling you all the sorts of benefits that you can get in terms of our exports being competitive. They're not going to tell you about the burden that we are going to face on our imports and how it's going to have a cascading effect on inflation. Because let's face the reality that we import a majority of the oil that we use from other parts of the world, and that has an effect on the entire supply chain. So far as exports are concerned, what are the largest merchandise exports of India? It is electrical machinery and equipment, machinery, gems, precious stones, textile.
But
Where do we stand?
There's IT exports.
Are more
Nikhil,
competitive
there's
exports?
IT exports. There's software exports.
No, I was talking about merchandise exports. Of course, we do have service exports as well, and they are actually the largest chunk of what we do export. But are we able to do a competitive job there? Because at the end of the day, what we've been doing for the largest for the larger part of the past 2 decades is exporting lower order IT services, a lot of those services which are now being taken over by AI. We were never at the avant-garde, exporting patents or new innovation. That is all that has been done by Western Europe, by America, by China. We've been lagging behind on that. The government doesn't have a policy for that. Those exports are going to slump down anyway. Our competitive textile exports are not performing strong enough when you compare it to nations like Vietnam and Bangladesh. So all the advantages that we could have gotten from a sliding rupee, we are missing the opportunity on that, but we are having to pay the price of a sliding rupee in terms of our increased import bill.
Okay, Savio, the claim here is that 11 years ago it was 58 rupees to the dollar. Now it is 91 rupees to the dollar. And all this while, whenever there was a rise in the rupee, there was a strong criticism against the way the rupee was going. But here you are now. People are, the critics will say that this argument is being padded up.
Krishna, I think what we should be looking at, and both sides of the discussion, the lady panelists as well as Nikhil Jain, have raised very valid points, and I agree with both of them actually. But my real concern is not with the rupee sliding at all. My concern is, look at the optimistic side of look at the situation. Why should the Indian rupee be hedging itself against the US dollar? I think it's time for us as a nation, as various other nations, to get into what should be called the de-dollarization. And the de-dollarization is very important because, well, our rupee is our rupee and it has its own strength. Why should it be waged against the dollar? It's waged against the dollar because the hegemony of the Western, imperialism, or whichever manner of governance you want to look at it, is what has been practiced in the world over a period of time. I think what you're seeing with the realignments and the renegotiations happening with the BRICS and other nations is that de-dollarization has to be the future, because you can't tell me whether my country is going up or down based on what the dollar exchange rate is, because practically the Americans will hedge their dollar against any other country. So today an African country might be doing very well, but just because it's low against the dollar doesn't mean it's a bad economic country. Okay. That's the same thing with India. So I think the real concern here is, A, you're talking about students not being able to study in America. I'm saying that's damn good, because Americans want to kick our students out anyway right now. Look at what Trump is doing. So why not come back to India and continue to study and do your courses here? You don't need an American degree to do well in India, number one. Number two, you're talking about tourism and people going to other countries and really having a great time. What is wrong with the tourism happening in India? Why don't you contribute to the tourism markets in India? So there are many ways to look at it.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, I don't think we should mature enough to not fight this, not fall into the trap of the dollar spread, when we should be working towards de-dollarization, because that is where this world is going to head.
Fair enough. Point taken. Nikhil Jain wanted to come in. Nikhil, go ahead.
You know, Savio, my good friend, his argument is akin to a school kid when he's being scolded for getting less marks, when he says, oh, what are marks? Marks don't matter. See, Savio, Indian rupee is not performing worse against just the dollar. And you're doing fabulously well, that's the point. No, Savio, you're doing fabulously well, and that's the point. But on a serious note, what I'm trying to say is that we are not doing bad only in terms of the dollar, but we're also doing bad in terms of pretty much every other currency. We are the worst performing Asian currency at the time. And you raise a very important point, that why should our students be going abroad to the US or to other countries to study, and why can't they come back? I'll tell you why. Because you look at the top 50 colleges of any stream, engineering, management, humanities, commerce, anything, our colleges don't even figure in the top 50, except 2 or 3 of more than 45 of the colleges are from abroad. And you know what? Most of them, a lot of them growingly are from China. But the government, again, does not have a policy on any of it. They will go around boasting that we have opened X many number of IITs and IIMs without telling you that they've only done a ribbon inauguration, because all of them opened by 2016 and nothing really has happened beyond that.
Okay.
This is the problem, Savio, that when instead of accepting the problems, you get into this mentality of sab changa si. We all can see that the rupee is falling, yet the finance minister of the country is saying that the rupee is resilient. You can say that we are trying to fix the problem. You can give us solutions, but instead of doing that, you're just trying to explain to us how a falling rupee
I
is
just
a miracle.
gave you the solution. I just gave you the solution.
Let's get it down to one. The solution is a BRICS currency. The solution is a BRICS. First of all, it's not a solution, but okay, that is one of the solutions to the problem. What did the government do?
The solution is de-dollarization. The solution is de-dollarization.
The solution is de-dollarization.
I'm saying that is one of the things, right? The government was moving towards a BRICS currency. What happened? The moment you got a little pressure from Donald Trump, you backed down on it. What is happening on the BRICS currency front? Nothing really. And the more important aspect, Savio, is having the right education in India, is having the right infrastructure in India for our exports.
Okay, I think Mithali wants to come in as well. Mithali, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Krishna. It's just shocking to me that we are getting so far away from economics. So just to bring it a little bit back onto the economic side of things, I'm not arguing for de-dollarization. We know that we have to bring in our fuel imports, in dollars even today, and that's where it really hurts our economy for the rupee dollar exchange rate to worsen. But that means that we need to work on diversifying our energy imports. We have to work on the core economic problem, that if it's going to hurt us, this is where we're vulnerable, then this is where we need to invest. If it hurts us to have education abroad or holidays abroad, then it means we need to strengthen our education, we need to strengthen our hospitality. Nobody is saying that these are perfect in India, but it also means that these are the areas and the sectors we need to strengthen to create more demand for the rupee in the global market.
Yeah, that's
so
every threat is an opportunity, isn't it? Every threat, if the falling rupee is a threat, then it's important to see the opportunity behind it. So Mr. Subhash Goyal, Chairman, Travel and Tourism Committee, Indian Chamber of Commerce, also wants to come in. Mr. Subhash Goyal, please go ahead.
Well, I think every challenge has an opportunity. This is a very big challenge. And yes, our FDIs are going out. And the opportunity is that here is an opportunity that we should aggressively go in for exports. We should aggressively go in for marketing tourism. After the Incredible India campaign, we have not done anything. In fact, we have not even reached the pre-COVID levels of 11.5 million tourists. And the foreign exchange that we earn from tourism remains in India. I mean, if we earn $100, $99 remain in India. But if we earn in any other industry, for example, if we are exporting, there is an import input. if we are exporting $100, maybe 30 or 40 or $50, we are having an import input.
Yeah.
So I think it is high time that we convert this into an opportunity. America has imposed tariffs on us. Still, our exports to America have they have not come down the way we were expecting. So it depends on a strategic approach by the government and the industry that we should focus more on exports, and as rightly mentioned, that we should diversify our imports. As it is, our Prime Minister has signed a lot of agreements with Russia on oil and a lot of other things that we will be able to buy in Indian rupees. And as far as student education is concerned, already America used to be number one in students going overseas. Today it's declining. Now Canada is there, and apart from Canada, other markets like Australia has come up in a big way. The numbers to Australia are going, and the rupee compared to Australian dollar is not that bad, although it has a ripple effect. But still, there are a lot of medical students who are going to East European countries where there is English education. So necessity is the mother of invention.
True.
And I'm sure that this government, which is a proactive government, will come up with some solution. And you see, our gold reserves have not gone down. So the strength of the economy is there.
Okay.
And I'm 100% sure that you will see within the next 2-3 months, I think the rupee will bounce back.
Okay.
If it doesn't bounce back, our exports are going to go up. Our inbound tourism into India is going to go up in a big way.
You're saying if the rupee bounces back, as in rupee comes back from the 91 levels back into the 80s, you'll say?
No, it might come down to 90 or 89. There must be some adjustment.
Okay.
Because maybe if we don't play our cards well, from 91 it goes to 92. This is a challenge, and it's a very serious challenge. We can't take it lightly. Our economists, our RBI, and our thinkers who are sitting in the planning commission or the and the PMO, they have to work strategy.
Okay, fair enough, Mr. Subhash Goyal. You have both Nikhil Jain and Mithali Nikore both wanted to come in. Nikhil, just hold on for a second, Mithali, and then I'll come to Nikhil.
So just 2 points here, Krishna. One is that I don't expect a reversal. The 90, 91 level, it might even go up to 92.
Okay.
Because we are seeing that, there is a low demand for the rupee in the global markets. Now, the only way that you actually come back to a level of an 89 or a 90 is with a, exponential increase in demand for rupees in the global markets, which is not happening because that is not, the way the global markets are functioning. Rupee is compared to several other currencies. It's not just, the dollar. And there is a demand for many other currencies that is currently dominating in the global markets. So that is not, but that should also not be our objective.
Okay.
Our objective here is to look at the core economic value. And when we look at, for example, education, the government has brought in a policy to look at, can we bring in investment into so many sectors through the production linked incentive scheme, and also to bring in foreign universities to invest in India. Both of those schemes become far more attractive with a weaker rupee because you need less foreign currency to actually bring in the same amount of equivalent rupee investment into the Indian economy. So that again benefits the manufacturing as well as some of the services sectors immediately.
Okay, fair enough. Nikhil Jain, go ahead.
Krishna, much of the discussion has been between a comparison of the Indian rupee and the US dollar. Fact of the matter is the Indian rupee has slided at a greater degree when you compare it with the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, and the euro. Just to tell you viewers the figures, euro was 102 exactly a month ago. Now it is 107. That's about 5%. Canadian dollar was 63. Now it is 66.2. That's again about 5%. Australian dollar was 57.5. Now it is 60.5. That's again about 5%. When you talk about the USD, it was 88.6 and now it is 90.8, which is I think about 2.5%. So actually the Indian rupee has slid to almost double the degree when you compare it to the Canadian dollar or the Australian dollar or the euro. So it is not the USD that is rising. It is not over dependence on the dollar. It is a complete slide of the Indian rupee because there isn't enough demand for Indian rupee, because our exports, despite the Make in India campaign and everything, are not competitive at the global stage, whether you talk about the merchandise exports or whether you talk about now lagging service exports on account of the advent of AI. And the government does not have a strategy. It's high time they should have a strategy. They should have a plan, instead of the finance minister telling everybody that everything is changa, it's all resilient, it's all good, nothing would be a problem. I hope they recognize the problem and give a fix to it.
Right, Savio, isn't that the first step to solving a problem? It looks like, if you go by the words of the economists on the panel, there is no way we are going to be settling at these levels of 90 rupees and plus for the Indian rupee against the dollar. There is no question of reversing the trend anytime soon, which means there needs to be long-term fixes put in place so it doesn't go from 90 to 100 in the next 6 months.
Well, I actually agree with you there. I hope it suffers from a Sachin Tendulkar kind of syndrome where you don't cross the century in some points, in jokes. But we need to work on it. I don't think, while I am certainly an advocate for de-dollarization, I think in the current situation, we need to understand what is going on and correct it. Because the more the dollar goes high, and while we are looking at all the optimistic side to it, the fact of the matter is there are certain parts that hit us real below the belt as far as the rising dollar is concerned, and we need to be concerned about it. And therefore, I believe the government will come together to find a way to deal with the current situation. A crisis is always an opportunity, as Mr. Goel rightly said. And he also highlighted a very important point. We really don't do much for tourism, when tourism is one of the largest and the highest potential as far as generating foreign revenue is concerned.
Absolutely.
Thereby, making me more money for the Indian state or the various different states that you have. But tourism has always got a step-brotherly treatment from the government.
Yeah.
There's so many plans that have been planned, but that's a huge foreign exchange earner for us, and we need to concentrate on tourism.
Yeah, it's a very important, even as you wonder, how expensive it will be for Indian travelers to go to the US and the UK and Europe. It's important that we do enough to ensure that Indian traveler travels within India to start with and not go overseas. But I'm afraid we're completely out of time here with that. I'm going to thank Mr. Subhash Goel, Chairman, Travel and Tourism Committee, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Nikhil Jain, Political Analyst, Xavier Rodriguez, Founder and Editor-in-Chief, Goa Chronicle, and Mitali Nikode, Founder and Chief Economist of Nikode Associates. Thank you all of you for taking time out to be with us. And with that, it's a wrap here from my side. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा से लोन लेना एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है।
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
बहुत टायर्ड हो गई।
Take a date, not bites. नो एडेड शुगर, प्रिजर्वेटिव के बिना डेट्स, बादाम, पिस्ता, काजू और शहद से तैयार किया गया लायन डेट्स नट बाइट्स। लायन डेट नट बाइट्स।
Okay, 2026, take notes. Manifesting. More bubbles, less troubles. For my little Miss Sunshine, tickles and giggles. Also wanna be a biker chick this time. Vroom, vroom. And year 2026, only love for my people and myself. To manifest my best life, nature's cosmic energy. Now mine, natural diamond intention pendants.
सामने नया सुपरमार्केट खुलने वाला है। क्या करूं कि पुराने कस्टमर भी रहें और नए भी आ जाएं?
देखो, आप दुकान के बाहर एक चाय कॉर्नर लगा सकते हो। चाय पीते पीते पुराने कस्टमर बातचीत करेंगे, उन्हें देखकर नए कस्टमर भी आएंगे और एक्स्ट्रा कमाई भी होगी। इसके अलावा आपके बिल्स देख के समझ लेते हैं कि कौन सा सामान कितना बिका है।
लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे तो अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए।
IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Ladies and gentlemen, our big focus. Telangana police has confirmed that one of the suspects in the deadly mass shooting at Australia's Bondi Beach is originally from Hyderabad. According to Telangana's DGP, Sajid Akram, identified by Australian authorities as one of the attackers, migrated to Australia nearly 27 years ago in 1998 after completing his BCom in Hyderabad. Police say he had very limited contact with his family in India over the years. According to officials, Sajid visited Hyderabad just 6 times in the last 27 years to meet his family. Importantly, Telangana police has stated that Sajid Akram had no adverse or criminal record during his time in India. Police has further stated that Sajid Akram's son, Naveed Akram, the other accused in the attack, was born in Australia and along with Sajid's daughter holds Australian citizenship. Telangana police have also clarified that there is no local influence or connection from India in the alleged radicalization of Sajid Akram and his son. Australian authorities have termed the Bondi Beach shooting a terror attack inspired by the Islamic State. The attack, which took place during a Hanukkah celebration, claimed 15 lives. Sajid Akram was shot dead while his son is currently undergoing treatment in hospital. Investigations continue as authorities in Australia probe the wider links behind the attack. And I'm being joined by my colleague Vajiullah at this point. Good evening, Vajiullah. Thank you very much for joining us. The first question. Telangana police has very clearly stated that the attacker in this particular case, the suspect in this particular case, Sajid, had left Hyderabad 27 years ago. What more are you picking up?
Well, the initial connection between the Indian origin of the suspect came when the Australian police realized that he had travelled from Philippines on the 28th of November. He had gone there on the 1st of November, and from there he had travelled on the 28th. And when they checked through the records, it turned out that he travelled through an Indian passport, and that is when the entire connection to India came into existence. And that is when inquiries were done by the higher authorities, and then the Telangana police in India got into action to find out with regards to the background of Sajid Akram. Now, what the Telangana police in the press note has released is saying that he left in 1998. As you mentioned, he studied BCom in Hyderabad. He was a citizen from Hyderabad, and since the time that he left, he hasn't come back nor stayed in touch with the family. And this happened after he got married to an alleged Christian lady who goes by the name Venera Grosso. And since then, the family has not been in touch with Sajid. Earlier in the day, Sajad Akram was the one who's also believed to be the brother of Sajid in Hyderabad, had met the police and given them the entire details about all of this. And now what we've also learned is that currently, when our reporters try to reach the house in Hyderabad, the house is locked. So the family does not want to stay connected to this particular piece of news because they believe they have no connection with Sajjad. They have not spoken to him in the last 28 years since the time he left the house. He did not even come back to the house or to Hyderabad when his father had died, is what the police has said in their note. So clearly, the only connection that he has was he was born here and he left in 1998. Since then, there is no other connection that has been connected to India. But yes, the other investigation that is parallelly running in Australia indicates that he has had ISIS connection and he's been influenced by radical material which motivated him to do this act.
Right. In fact, I'm being told that the family seems to have also reacted on this. My team, let's see if my team can get those reactions on air for us. But Vajiullah, here's the question. The attacker in this case, the suspect in this case, had an Indian passport, but his children are Australian citizens. He's come to India, Hyderabad particularly, just about 7 times in the last 27 years. Telangana police very categorically saying that there was no link of radicalization to India.
Well, yes, that is something that the Telangana police has categorically said in their press release, that he does not have any radical connection. And if I can show the note that Telangana police has released, in that it clearly says the family members have expressed no knowledge of his radical mindset or activities, nor the circumstances that led to his radicalization. So they have clearly ruled out the fact that the family had any idea about it, and they believe that whatever has happened after he left India, when he had no other connection. So that is one thing that is very clear from this. What we also can carry forward and tell our viewers from this is that the other parallel investigation that is taking place in Australia, which clearly links his connection to other radical groups, be it the ISIS and the ISI connection. All of this has been given to us from the Australian investigation. The Telangana police is categorically denied any radicalization that has taken place in India. So the only Indian connection that we have is just the fact that the passport that he used to travel, and he was born here. I suppose he was born here because his family stays here, and he left in 1998.
Thank you very much for joining us with those details. My colleague Vajiola reporting some very, very important developments. But the police in Telangana very clear that the attacker had migrated 27 years ago to Australia, and despite the roots in Hyderabad, there is no link to radicalization in India that's emerging. Probe underway in Australia. Right, shifting our focus right now, Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan today tabled the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission bill in the Lok Sabha. The proposed legislation seeks to replace the existing Manrega scheme. The winter session of the parliament witnessed sharp debate over the bill, the opposition leaders strongly criticizing the centre's move. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi said the bill would weaken the legal right to employment that parliament had earlier guaranteed. Opposition parties argued that the bill increases central control while reducing accountability. They demanded that the legislation be withdrawn and referred to the Standing Committee for detailed scrutiny. Protests erupted in the House as opposition MPs stormed the well, holding placards and bearing Mahatma Gandhi's image. Defending the bill, Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan termed it a Garib Kalyan initiative, saying the government is guaranteeing 125 days of employment. He asserted that Mahatma Gandhi lives in the hearts of the people and added that both the Gandhi and Deen Dayal Upadhyay believed in prioritizing the welfare of the most disadvantaged. A massive political showdown in the parliament with the opposition holding Mahatma Gandhi posters and protesting inside the well of the Lok Sabha as well as outside the parliament.
तो 100 दिन का अधिकार आपने 125 करने की बात की है, लेकिन इसमें वेतन की बढ़ोतरी, आपकी जो मजदूरी की बढ़ोतरी है, इसकी कोई बात नहीं है। बिना चर्चा के, बिना इस सदन की सलाह लिए इस तरह से जल्दी में विधेयक को पास नहीं होना चाहिए। सर, ये विधेयक वापस लिया जाना चाहिए। इसके बदले में सरकार को एक नया विधेयक पेश करना चाहिए कि गहन जांच पड़ताल और व्यापक चर्चा के लिए इसे कम से कम स्थायी समिति के पास भेजा जाना चाहिए और कोई विधेयक किसी की निजी महत्वाकांक्षा, सनक और पूर्वाग्रहों के आधार पर न तो पेश होना चाहिए और न ही पास होना चाहिए।
हम टाइम बाउंड है, हमारे पास बिजनेस है सरकार के पास। मैं सिर्फ और ये सुनने दे और ये भाग जाएंगे, ये सुनेंगे ना फिर भाग जाएंगे, चर्चा का मांग करता फिर भागेंगे, ऐसा नहीं होता है। जो देश हित में बिल पारित करना है वो तो हम पारित करके ही रहेंगे, लेकिन आप लोग बहस में हिस्सा लीजिए, हमारे कोई आपत्ति नहीं, हम लोग सुनने के लिए हमेशा तैयार रहते हैं।
Mahatma Gandhi's vision of Ram Rajya was never a purely political program. It was a socio-economic blueprint rooted in the empowerment of villages, and his unwavering faith in Gram Swaraj was part of his vision of Ram Rajya. So the original act, by bearing his name, acknowledged this profound connection that true employment guarantee and upliftment must flow from the grassroots, embodying his principle of the last man first. To remove the name Mahatma Gandhi is to strip the bill of its moral compass and its historical legitimacy, and then to have two languages in the title, just to make the acronym Jai Ramji, is not just a violation of Article 348, as pointed out in the previous discussion, but it also reminds me of a song, of a lyric from my childhood. Sir, मेरे बचपन में ये गाते थे, देखो ये दीवानो ओ दीवानो ये काम मत करो, राम का नाम बदनाम मत करो. And in this particular case, it's a real.
बापू हमारे दिलों में बसते हैं, उनका हम पूरा सम्मान करते हैं. और बापू ही कहते थे राम राज, राम हमारे रोम रोम में रमे हैं, राम हमारी हर सांस में बसे हैं. बिना राम के ये देश नहीं जाना जाता. पता नहीं क्यों जी राम जी नाम आ गया तो ये भड़क गए. महात्मा गांधी स्वयं राम राज्य की स्थापना की बात करते थे और उनके अंतिम शब्द भी हे राम थे. बापू जी का पूरा सम्मान करते हुए राम राज की स्थापना मतलब दैहिक दैविक भौतिकता का राम राज काहू नहीं व्यापा. हर गरीब को भरपूर रोजगार मिले, उसकी गरिमा को सम्मान हो. दिव्यांग, बुजुर्ग और महिला, अनुसूचित जाति, जनजाति, उनको और प्रोटेक्शन दिया जाए, इसके लिए ये बिल लेके आए हैं. 125 दिन की गारंटी है, गारंटी. ये कहीं पर कमजोर नहीं हुई. उस गारंटी को हम पूरा करेंगे. गांव का संपूर्ण विकास भी करेंगे और कृषि और मजदूरी दोनों में संतुलन स्थापित करने का काम करेंगे. इसलिए माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, ये पूरा बिल महात्मा गांधी जी की भावनाओं के अनुरूप है, राम राज की स्थापना के लिए है.
Well, it's time for a short break. And on the other side, Delhi Environment Minister has apologized for air pollution. But can his apology fix your lungs?
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया.
Light, camera and action. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite snack because News9 is here with your weekend dose of entertainment. It's time to take a deeper dive into the buzzworthy happenings of the entertainment world. From celebrity gossips to exclusive conversations, from nostalgic moments to News9's pick of the week. Don't worry, we've got you covered here. And I hope you've grabbed your popcorn by now because News9's page 3 is here to serve you everything that we call entertainment. So do stay tuned every Saturday and Sunday, 2:30 p.m.
यही मौका है बिजनेस को बढ़ाने का, पर पैसा.
अपनी सुपर पावर यूज करने का टाइम आ गया.
अब टेंशन मत लीजिए, IIFL फाइनेंस से झटपट गोल्ड लोन लीजिए और बिजनेस आगे बढ़ाइए.
आपके जैसे सुपर हीरोज ऐसी छोटी मोटी प्रॉब्लम से थोड़ी ना रुकते हैं. इसीलिए लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे तो अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए.
IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Ladies and gentlemen, we in the National Capital Region are breathing poison. Children are being forced to stay home. They can't go to the playgrounds, they can't go to school. They have to be within the confines of their homes because their life is in danger. This is nothing short of being betrayed year after year as air pollution only soars. This is not a story of just children. This is the story of every elderly person in the National Capital Region. This is the story of every young person. The WHO clearly states, in fact, the permissible PM 2.5 levels. And Delhi, during peak smog time, has 30 to 40 times more than the permissible levels. And that could just be one of the reasons, even if you don't smoke, why do your lungs look like that of a smoker? Why are we talking about this? Delhi's air